This is a review of Survivor Season 46, Episode 9. And I have my boy Richie back here yet again. Richie, welcome back to the program. We got a lot
How's it going, everybody?
we got a lot to get into. We're going to do stock up, stock down like we always do. We might even get towards, now that we're getting to the final 8 after this episode, we should start picking a winner. I feel like we should probably start doing that of who do we see, who has the clearest path to victory. Maybe we wrestle with that a little bit. We're going to have a question for Jeff and then who we think is going home next week. And Richard Becerra, you are now 4 for 4 in your predictions. The last
We're on a roll.
last 4 picks, we've been betting a shot, which I'm, again, just having some Malibu, which is that a shot? That's up for debate. But you picked Hunter. And we're going to get into the crazy episode. How did you feel about that pick as the final tribal was rolling down?
I mean, as Trevor was rolling around, I honestly didn't feel as confident because I thought for sure he was going to play his idol. But we'll kind of get into that. I think it's crazy just that I picked 2 on one episode. I kind of went out there with Tevin, and then I went even further out there with Hunter, almost trying to give Dylan a shot to maybe get one on me, but
I did too, dude.
Just can't miss right now.
You picked what many people were saying was the perfect Survivor player, and he clearly wasn't. We'll get into that. Let's jump right into the episode because I do think now we're in it. Survivor is now.
Yeah.
This is why it's the greatest show ever. Crazy episode. We see some scrambling back at camp right away. After Q's crazy episode at Tribal, where he's kind of, everyone's just like still lost their mind, and you kind of were reminded of what went down. Do you think that you would be good at scrambling post Tribal? That's what I was curious. Like, do you think that if you had a moment, I mean, I don't think you would have a moment like Q, but do you think that you yourself, to get off the couch moment, do you think you'd be able to calm all that down? Because apparently it's really late at night, all that stuff.
That's the thing. I don't think I would necessarily want to do it post tribal. I feel like it's something that if you go and sneak off post tribal, like everyone knows that you snuck off and went somewhere. And I think that kind of just makes things even more muddy. I think it's almost better to wait until the next day, try to find time where nobody realizes you're going off and having a one-on-one, try to calm it down. I think that's almost a better option.
Yeah, and it seemed like right away that this was going to be the episode where Q goes home. And honestly, up until maybe the very last, revote, it really did feel that way.
Yeah.
And it was just felt like this whole episode was building towards maybe getting rid of Q. There was a lot less of, him controlling things like they do, or like it's been done where he's telling people who and how to vote. Pretty wild. We get right into the challenge, the 3v3 split. To me, what I saw this as is it felt like I really felt Jeff's hand in manipulating the game here, because for them to pick their own teams, it was clearly a way to stir things up, to go, all right, let's see how everyone's aligned. Because if it's like the way you pick your teams is you want to win, but then you want to beat the other 2 people in the 3 stages of the challenge. What do you make? Do you like the 3 versus 3 and the way they picked it? And
I like the 3v3. I don't necessarily like how they picked it. I thought it should have been something random, but I do get kind of why they did it. They kind of knew, I think, that those 3 kind of would have been on an island and it would have made for more of a story, which I get why they would do that. I think that it was kind of stupid for like Tiffany and Kenzie to just kind of go with Ben, because that's not a very strong trio. Yeah. And you're leaving Q, who you want to get rid of him, but I mean he's one of the strongest guys out there. So
yeah, but we still have yet to see him really perform in a challenge.
That is true, yeah.
We keep saying, and I mean he is built, and he was a former football player or whatever. But I mean, Kenzie has more immunity, individual immunities than he does. So, it was interesting. And then when we get to the challenge, Jeff is like, "I'm going to put my Survivor fan hat on, and I'm going to say that that group right there, you're gonna lose this. How did you feel about that? Because to me, I was like, dude,
I thought
what?
that was weird, dude. I
Yeah,
mean, he's never really done that in seasons past. I don't know why all of a sudden he's starting to do that.
yeah,
I don't know if they like took a poll in like the off time of the show and asked fans if they like Jeff interacting more, like kind of poking fun a little bit with them,
yeah.
and maybe that they got a good sample review from that. But I don't know. I didn't really like it that much.
Yeah, I didn't either. And he also was like, "Hey, so why did you guys pick the groups? Because this is like obviously really crazy that you guys picked this way." Like he was trying so hard to be like,
Mm-hmm.
"All right, where's the drama now?" Cuz I mean, there it was pretty like apparent that like, Tiffany and Kenzie to be like, "All right, yeah, we're going to go with Ben." That really was a line in the
Mm-hmm.
sand. To me, I don't really everyone else was whatever. Um I don't know. It was a little like whatever. I do love the three stages of the
Yeah.
challenge. I think that's a cool way
Mm-hmm.
to do it when they pace it out, especially when we get to the end and it's like even though they go to commercial break and whatever. Um, Pretty cool, pretty fun challenge. A lot of balance, whatnot. We end up with the final three being Maria, Charlie, and Hunter. And this ends up being an immunity challenge that like means way more when we go back and look at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Oh yeah.
Hunter was perceived to be the winner, and he's been far and away the best physical threat. He's almost been on the right side of the votes every time, but he's the guy that's like, I don't know. They were talking about throwing challenge. Well, Q was talking about throwing challenges
Q was
before.
yeah.
Not sure if that was a smart move. What did you make of that? Did you think Charlie was going to pull it out? Especially right.
As soon as it was them three, I kind of knew that it was going to be Charlie. I think
Mm,
he's built more for that challenge just because he doesn't have as much muscle mass to
yeah.
try to hold himself up. I figured that he'd be able to get in a position that was more comfortable where Hunter's going to have to scratch, claw, fight, and like use more of that strength. So he's going to tire out quicker.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's happening to their muscles as they're leaning up against that and they're in that awkward position for so long and the rule of like your back has to stay against the post
Yeah.
and all that stuff like why would Charlie have an advantage? Let a
I
doctor
think just
explain.
because Charlie just looks like his shoulders are a little bit more mobile, so he can get them further back in that position easier. Where if you have a lot more muscle, a lot of times you don't necessarily work as much on the mobility if you're going so much on the strength training. So Hunter probably doesn't have as much mobility in his shoulders. Not saying he doesn't have good mobility, but
Yeah.
just from what it looked like, he was going to have to struggle more to get in that spot.
Yeah. And pretty wild. So Charlie does end up winning. Pretty exciting. Pretty happy for him. Him having his of course. It feels like because we're in the Survivor fans play Survivor that he of course is super emotional with Jeff
Mm-hmm.
putting the
Yeah.
necklace on the neck, which is cool and great and protects Charlie. And it was funny. It felt like everyone was happy with Charlie winning because people wanted to make moves and like Charlie
Yeah.
wasn't someone that was like, oh dang, he won immunity. It's like, shoot, now the playing
Mm-hmm.
field is wide open.
Yeah.
Um, and we get back to camp. Everyone's going crazy. I think one of the craziest things we see at camp was Kenzie's move, which didn't end
Mm-hmm.
up playing
Yeah.
out. But what do you make
No.
of her at 9 people to turn on her longest ally, which you do have to do it eventually?
Yeah.
What do you make of her trying to pull that trigger at 9?
I mean, I thought it was way too early.
Yeah.
I like honestly, I rewound it when she said that because I thought like I just mistook what she said.
Yeah.
I was like, no way, she just said Tiffany's name,
Yeah.
and she was sitting with like Maria and Charlie and I think Ben too. But it's like, how do you know you can even necessarily trust them fully to not go and tell Tiffany?
Yeah.
Which I mean, granted, luckily for her, they didn't.
Yeah.
But you don't know if that's going to come back to haunt you. Maybe it'll be a good thing for her. And
Yeah.
then the moment that Charlie goes and tries to talk to Tiffany, it just goes downhill right after that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then because it seems like, I mean, for a second there, Tiffany was going to be the one to go home. And it was like, oh, shoot, this is it.
yeah,
This is going to be a crazy blindside.
mm-hmm.
But we get all these kind of and Hunter's there for that conversation too, where he's like, dude, I'm on board. Like I know I'm the biggest threat. I would love it for us to throw someone else's name out. Then other conversations start happening. And there's a really good shot. I talked about one with Banu before, but there's a really good one in this episode where I think it's Ben, Maria, and Charlie are talking, and behind is
Yeah.
Hunter, who walks in and kind of sees them talking and like, sits down and like you can still see him in the shot. I thought that was so well done. And yeah, we really saw Hunter get paranoid. And he was right about his instincts. I didn't
See, I think if he hadn't said anything about his idol, I don't think he would have been the one.
really.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because I think because he said it so close to tribal, I think that got the girls to want to actually end up voting for him.
Yeah.
Convince him that he's safe, because they convince him the entire tribal when they're talking at tribal that he was safe,
Yeah.
and then just go and vote for him.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't even that. Like, it was at Tribal. Like, yeah, they were all telling him he's safe, but they were all piling on Q. And there, again, must have been a conversation we missed.
Yeah.
Because Q either seemed cool as a cucumber because he knew he was safe, or cool as a cucumber because he knew he was going home. And it's like,
That's what it
dang.
looked like.
Yeah. And it's like, dang, dude, I messed this up. I talked way too much. I lost control. And so I kind of just thought, man, this is going to be a pretty straightforward thing. But like Hunter really, like, he had a better pulse than I did, at least from the edit and whatnot, that it was going to, end up him getting the target. The best part is, I don't know if you saw all the votes, but there was ended up being 4 on Q, 4 on Hunter, and then 1 on Ben. The one Ben was Q.
Yeah, that shocked me because at first I thought it was Hunter.
Yeah.
When I first saw there was one for us, I was like, "Oh my gosh, he just got himself sent home."
Yeah,
but yeah, it ended up being Q.
The Ben vote
still,
was pretty funny, and
I think Q really has like lost his foot in the game. He just has no idea what's going on now.
Yeah, and ultimately they spared Q, which is the right move. Like, and Tiffany had the conversation at one point too, which was pretty intense. And like, I'm not sure why people don't do this more, but Tiffany said if Q gets to the end, there's no way I'm voting for him. There's like, which it's, again, also still early to say that. You don't really know how it's going to play out. I think it was very clear for everyone there that Hunter was the clear odd favorite. What's wild is Tiffany and Kenzie were on different sides of that vote too. Kenzie did vote Q, while Tiffany did not. So I think this game is fully wide open.
For sure. But I think it's been weird too, because I think there hasn't been like big alliances. Yeah. We haven't seen groups of like 4 or 5, 6. You have Maria and Charlie who are one, and then kinda it was Tiffany and Kenzie. Who knows if that's still a thing?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and
not
now
a lot of alliances this year.
And Charlie spilled the beans that he knew that Tiffany had an idol. And what's to say that Charlie goes, "Hey, Kenzie was saying she wanted you out last vote," and
for sure,
suddenly that blows up. Yeah, pretty wild. Don't know where on earth we're going from here. I will say though that I think there was 2, like if we move into stock up, stock down now, there's 2 people that went stock up for me. And it was like, we talk about that there's like no villains now. We would love villains and whatnot. I think I like love Venus. I decided it watching this. I was like, you know what? I think I love her because she's being honest, at least, about like, dude, Kenzie had another soundbite too that was really brutal and really honest too that made me go, okay, Kenzie, you're here to play. Yeah. Like you're here. You want to make a big move. And like, those are things that make me go like, oh shoot, these are people that maybe can get some good moves going. Could be exciting, but I don't know. There was something about Venus's ferocity in this episode that I was like, I don't know that you had too much of an impact, but even like, I just like the intensity at which she talks with. She might have been annoying and whatnot, but she's the only one not being kumbaya about everything.
Yeah.
And I think I like that.
And I think it helped her a little bit because like she had such a big target for those couple episodes. And then the target shifted. Now she's kind of like not safe, but nobody's kind of looking at her right now.
Yeah.
And I think almost having that target for a couple times is kind of good for you in a way.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of shifting to Q. Q's had the target for a couple episodes. I feel like it's going to shift away from him now.
Yeah.
But you let that shift from these players for too long. Hey, that's a good talking point.
Yeah. And while I will say I did like have a good appreciation for that, my stock up is absolutely Tiffany because I think one, she obviously protected Q. I think she now has Q Like, I think she is now the alpha in that relationship. She could be, of course, he could go off the rails. I think she has trust from people. I think she is now also in a position where there is information that will keep coming towards her, and she still has an idol. She's the last one with an idol, right? Like no one else has an idol. Hunters might get back into
I don't think
camp.
they. I guess if they trusted that he had one, they know he has one. I bet
That's
they'll
true.
look.
That's true
But
too. But I think Tiffany has a pretty big advantage going forward here, especially after this vote because Hunter goes
mhm.
home. We keep saying Q is a challenge threat. I'm now ready to say that's not true yet. Especially like we talked about how certain sizes really matter in some of these endurance
Yeah.
challenges too, and sometimes the athletic looking guys can't hang. And yeah, with Hunter gone, all challenges are up for grabs. So I would say stock up goes to Tiffany.
I think my stock up is going to be Venus. I think she's lasted through those couple episodes where she had a big target. She's now starting to make some moves. Whether people think they're her moves or not, she's been a part of it. And I think she has a way that she can, at least if she gets to the last tribal, she can persuade people that it was her idea. And she has things to go and back her up on that. So I think she's my stock up right now.
Hmm. Yeah, and stock down. I hate to say it, but I think Liz. I think Liz a little bit. I think she,
Yeah.
of course, like the food. They keep focusing on the food thing. They did at least. They kept saying 72 hour.
Mm.
She hasn't eaten it, which I don't know if you can. I know you can relate to it. The 72 hour
Yeah.
fast. Um, and in the coming episode, it seems like she's gonna lose her marbles a little bit, but to lose another orange member too, like I think that
Hmm.
matters. But also, that it could play in her favor where it's like, okay, look, all the threats from that group are gone. Let's focus on other people. Um, yeah. Like I think Tiffany might be someone who like people throw votes at, but I think she with her idol or with her chances to win challenges, I
Hmm.
think she is okay and her stock is still up. And she's on pace to, as we're looking towards who's going to be the winner, maybe has the best resume right now. Especially
Yeah.
being on the right side of this vote while Kenzie wasn't. Um, Pretty wild. But yeah, Liz would be my stock down.
I'm actually going to give my stock down to Tiffany just because people found out about her idol.
Yeah.
And I think now her name might get floated out a little bit more. And I still feel like we don't really know the lines between Maria and Charlie and everybody else. So I think it's going to kind of come down to if they side with somebody or if people decide to side against them. So I think she's going to be my stock down for this episode.
Nice, nice. All right, and let's. You got any questions for Jeff? I got one. I got one that I'll start us off with. But one thing I like, it happens in the challenges always. And I was a couple years ago, I was watching Survivor with a friend, we'll say, and she had said that she said, hey, do you notice that in a challenge they always like cut to the person who looks like they're about to break, and then it cuts to the other
Mm-hmm.
person. The person who is about to break always wins, is what she
Yeah.
said to me. And I started to notice that, and it's not a there's some flaws in that theory, but that's not also a crazy thing to say. Once you hear that,
Not
it's
at
like
all.
oh yeah, that I mean they're building tension, building tension. I wonder if Jeff is in the like editing bay with the editors dealing with music, going like, keep it building, keep it building, keep it building, because even like they're tossing the balls up to the ring,
Yeah.
and it's building, who's gonna land, who's gonna land, and then of course the music cuts out, and we know, boom. But then sometimes the music will pick back up again as a little fake out.
And I think probably like 80 to 90% of the time it does stop, but then it does fake out probably that other 10, 20%.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's always been one of my least favorite things, that you can kind of tell who it's going to be from that.
yeah.
I almost wish that they would do like maybe no music and you would just get to hear maybe like the raw sounds of what's
Mm,
going on.
yeah.
Because then you have, I mean, you would have almost no idea of what or who is going to win.
Yeah, it's tough. Someone floated to him on the podcast, like I don't remember which episode it was, but they said, Jeff, have you ever thought about doing like a double box where you can see both
Yeah.
tribes working at the same time on a puzzle, building a puzzle? like would you ever do that? And he's like, no, we try to build like things that are cinematic, and we want to build tension, and we want to just cut back and forth. And you can sometimes tell in the cuts too of the challenge where like you can see in the background that a tribe is very far behind,
Oh
but
yeah.
then they cut and they're a little bit further ahead.
Hmm.
And they're trying to show that, oh wait, this is actually a close match when it's not, because that's the hard part too. Is
Yeah.
if it's a blowout, that's not fun to watch. But with music and with cuts and whatnot, you can make that interesting. I would love to know how much he is a part of that process, because I mean it's
Yeah.
so intricate, and it has to be done the right way. So that'd be my question for Jeff. Also, Jeff, are you going to be there on Saturday? I might come say hi.
I think my question for Jeff would be, as when it is a live tribal with the all the tribe members talking in it, having conversations, is he also having like a live tribal himself? Because I noticed this one, like
Mm,
Hunter's trying to talk to people, and then all of a sudden he asked Hunter a question.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
and and what did you make of him grab again, he's taken himself out of the host role, and he's talked about it on the podcast, and he said, "Look, it's something that I've been enjoying doing is kind of stepping outside of being a host, but pulling out popcorn, pulling out a cushion, being like,
Hmm.
"Ooh, this is going to be good." To me that also felt manipulative. I'm like, "Dude, you're asking for this."
Yeah,
Which like I think he's been good at asking for it by just like letting the game play out, and it'll go crazy on its own rather
for
than
sure.
like trying to invoke it, which there is a lot of chaos in this tribe.
Hmm.
And he said that season 46, when we're on right now, is like has the most intense gameplay of any season of the new era.
Oh, for
And
sure.
and I don't know if he is like I don't know. He pulls it out, and I get frustrated with that a lot,
Yeah.
because I'm like, dude, I think they were gonna get there anyway. You do a good job asking questions, but
Hmm.
um, yeah. What do you make of him passing around popcorn?
I mean, yeah, I'm kind of the same. I don't really love what he's doing, but if it is helping make for a better season, then keep doing it. It's not something that I think will make or break anything. So keep doing it if it's working. And I mean, I think this has been the best season so far of the new
Yeah.
era. So I'll take it.
Yeah, and we're officially cooking with gas. Shout out Southwest Gas.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor, but we appreciate you. So we're down to the final 8. You have a 4-vote streak going. How will you carry that on? I'm gonna let you pick first here.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll let you pick because I picked
I
first last week.
think my pick is going to be Maria.
See, I
And I
kind of gotta
think
trust you. Like I
because
feel like I trust. I mean,
my thinking on that is they've started to try to get these players who they think have a good path to win out. And I think people are going to realize that Maria has a pretty good path to win if you don't get her out now.
yeah,
She's the only one that still has like a really good ride or die.
yeah,
I think this might be the episode where Tiffany's going to use her idol. So
yeah.
unless Maria finds the new idol, I think she'll be going home.
Mm. Yeah, I said in last week, I said, look, Hunter will play his idol. It'll bounce off and it'll go to Ben. Again, I was close. I was close.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
it would have bounced to Q, but
You're still
yeah.
close.
Yeah. Still, I mean, I got one Ben vote. I'm in the arena. Yeah, Maria's not a bad pick. But I think because now it does feel like Q can just be taken to the end because he doesn't have a
For
good
sure.
resume. He doesn't. I mean,
No.
he maybe leaned a couple votes a certain way, but he was on the worst tribe at the very beginning, which you could say that's
Yeah.
good. You could say that's bad that he's a journeyman and he got this far. Um, I kind of feel like it's gonna be Charlie. I'm gonna go back to
Oh.
Charlie just because I do think he's likable and
Yeah.
he's laying under the radar. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm gonna say Charlie. Charlie goes
Probably
home
more of a
next week.
challenge threat too than Maria.
Yeah, and I think when people win one challenge, you can call them a challenge threat, and especially I mean,
Yeah.
especially when a guy wins a challenge, it's always like, oh, he's a challenge threat. If a girl wins a challenge, it feels like, oh wow, she won a challenge. It's like, dude, what? No, it's like, you just just vote on who has the best resume
Yeah.
right now, and who could build a better resume. And I think Charlie has
Hmm.
that because yeah, I just think Charlie can be super lovable. He gives me
That's a good pick.
kind of gives me Adam vibes,
Hmm.
from Gen Z. Was that what it
Yeah.
was? Or Gen X versus
Yeah.
millennials? Gen Z,
Yeah.
dude. Gen Z. Which probably is Charlie. So I'll say he goes home. I'm gonna read a comment from last week. We got a great comment on the YouTube channel from Cindy Becerra 6891. She said, "Great episode. Love the stock up, stock down. Thumbs up, muscle emoji." Well, shout out, Cindy. We appreciate your comments.
We love it.
We absolutely love it. We love the support. Yeah, I want to bring up one more thing. Is now Survivor, they're pretty good at faking out. You know, they create patterns and then they break patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that last week with the auction. I really thought we were going to get an auction, which he said we weren't going to get an auction,
Yeah.
but he teased us with it. And you can't.
Survivor
fans love auctions, man. Like I get that they started figuring out, like Castaway started figuring out how to break auctions. Just wait for the advantage. But we loved auctions. I think it was a different way of getting a challenge, and I liked how they did it last year, where everyone was scrambling for money first, and then
do it something like that too. That'd be a good way.
Yeah.
Or come out at the front and say, "Hey, there's not any advantage. Don't hold your money." Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Something. All right. Well, we will be back again next week as we get closer and closer. We're probably only a few weeks left, but next week is going to be episode 10 for them, for Survivor, for
Double
us.
digits.
That's crazy. Thanks so much for everyone who's been watching along with us. Please, again, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review. Smash that button. Because in this game, that button means life. In this YouTube game, that button means life. And when there are no buttons pressed, your fire's out. No.
Let's go for the 5 in a row.
Yes, 5 in a row. Watch out, Will Ritchie get 5 in a row.
There's talks of if I go 5 or 6, Survivor might hire me. So
there's
see.
talks. Yeah, I might have to, drink like a half a bottle or something. I don't know. We'll have to. Maybe I will have to graduate from Malibu, but it's what we
give
got.
us ideas in the comments on something Dylan will have to do.
Yeah, why is it going to be me? And what happens if neither of us win? We don't have a plan.
That's true.
For that. We don't. Maybe it's just
we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk. All right, thanks again, everyone.